When I examine Macbeth to discover a reason for its effectiveness as a story, the answer always leads back to the disturbing transformation observed in the protagonist, Macbeth. These changes reveal compelling truths about the human race and its defiant relationship with the unstoppable forces of fate. Today, I'm going to dissect Macbeth's character arc, revealing how Macbeth's character devolves before he meets his ultimate destruction. Let's take a look at the Fall of Macbeth. According to K.M. Weiland, author of Creating Character Arcs, all stories must have character arcs that consist of a lie that a protagonist must overcome, and the truth that the protagonist must strive towards for redemption or success. With different outcomes for the protagonist comes variations of character arcs. Macbeth goes through the Fall arc. The Fall arc, one of the 3 negative character arcs developed by K.M. Weiland, can be broken up into 4 stages. In the first stage, the character believes in a lie. This lie will be the driving force, the incentive behind the character's immoral deeds. The lie that Shakespeare wants to communicate to his audience is that people's futures can be controlled by their free will, as long as they take action. In the 3rd scene of the first act of Macbeth, the witches prophesy to Macbeth that he will become Thane of Cawdor and king. Once granted the title of Thane of Cawdor, it appears to Macbeth that the witches' prophecy is true, and Macbeth ponders the next step in his life with fear and uncertainty. At this point in the story, Macbeth is confused, unsure of whether he wants to take action. Initially, Macbeth almost avoids the lie.
If chance will have me king, by chance may crown me without my star.
Macbeth's moral resolve, however, shifts dramatically when Lady Macbeth manipulates him into acting immorally on his destiny.
I would, while it was smiling in my face, have plucked my nipple from his boneless gums and dashed the brains out had I so sworn, as you have done to this.
Once Macbeth assassinates King Duncan, he has invested his beliefs to the lie he could have avoided. At this point, the protagonist sets foot on the path that will lead him to his downfall. Believing that the lie is a basis for success, the character clings to the lie in the 2nd stage of the Fall arc. At first, Macbeth believes in the lie and uses this belief to kill King Duncan. When Macbeth becomes king, he inevitably concludes that the lie he almost rejected has given him power. Macbeth begins to adhere to this lie. Thus, when facing doubts about the longevity of his reign, the Scottish tyrant can't help but pursue the lie once more.
'Tis much he dares into that dauntless temper of his mind. Hear the wisdom that doth guide his valor.
Macbeth decides to murder his best friend Banquo and his son Fleance to ensure the safety of his crown. As a result, Macbeth develops an even stronger attachment to the lie. He himself acknowledges this in Act 3, Scene 4.
I am in blood stepped in so far that should I wade no more, returning were as tedious as gore.
It becomes more apparent to the audience that Macbeth has become evil, and it is this transformation that slowly eats away at his sanity.
Thou canst not say that I did it!
The 3rd stage. The character rejects a new truth. When Macbeth learns of a new prophecy that guarantees the throne to Banquo's lineage, Macbeth is appalled, but only for a few short moments. He never takes this divination into consideration later in the story, and persists in this evil doing. Macbeth never submits to his destiny, and continues to carry out his plans, believing that the flighty purpose never is overtook, unless the deed go with it. Macbeth is given a chance to peacefully surrender to his fate, but by resisting, Macbeth ensures that his downfall will not be an elegant or an honorable one. In the same scene, Macbeth believes in a stronger or a worse lie, the final stage of the Fall arc. One of the most prominent themes of the story is security is mortal's chiefest enemy. Macbeth lets the witch's prophecy get to his head. He suddenly feels invincible, without dissecting the witch's words or considering the fact that Banquo's descendants will eventually take over. In essence, Macbeth surrenders not to fate, but to mortal's chiefest enemy. With the false sense of security clouding his judgment, Macbeth recklessly confronts Malcolm's army. And in the final act of the play, when Macbeth learns of the army's moving shields of Birnam Wood or of Macduff's unnatural birth, Macbeth finally meets his violent end. As K.M. Weiland states, the character's story will end in insanity, oppressive immorality, or death.